Hi there, and welcome to the Alberta Update. A look at what's happening in your province. I am your host, Bruce McAllister. Thank you for being with us today. Coming up on the program, Energy and Minerals Minister Brian Jean will drop by to give us information on that forest fire in Fort McMurray. Of course, nobody closer to it than the minister who's been through it before. The Minister of Environment and Protected Areas, Rebecca Schulzs, will be here. She'll chat with us about what changes to the Federal Impact Assessment Act will mean here in Alberta. And Minister Rajan Sawhney will be here to talk about what's going on to support desperately needed skilled trades in the province. All that and more straight ahead on the Alberta Update. Well, a rapidly growing wildfire near Fort McMurray led to evacuation orders for hundreds of people this week. The fire and its impacts on the health and safety of northern communities quickly became the focus of the Premier and the entire government, for that matter, and Minister of Energy and Minerals and Fort McMurray MLA and resident, Brian Jean, good enough to pop away from his duties to update us on it. Minister, good to see you. Thanks for taking some time.
Good to see you too, Bruce. Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, Minister, I know this hits home very closely for you. You've been through it before. Let's start with this. What's the mood of the people in Fort McMurray? How is everybody doing up there?
Well, Bruce, everybody's, as usual, thinking about safety first, thinking about their neighbors, their friends, their family. We have a great community there that takes care of each other, and that's what it's all about. This time it was a little less hectic than last time. I have to tell you, I was very impressed on the ground. People were moving at a very good speed, not rushing, not any of those things that you don't want to see in a situation like that. They were very taking their time, being professional. Police were there, directing traffic, doing all the things necessary, and folks were calling and finding out information. But everybody was evacuating as they were supposed to be doing in an orderly, professional way.
Okay, well, you may have just touched on it, but to follow up, you're comfortable with how things are being managed on the ground? Anything people need to know on that front?
Well, Bruce, I'm going to tell you the difference between this time and last time, and I saw both times, phenomenal. Whether it's Minister Mike Ellis with his offer of 40 more police officers that came up and took care of on the ground safety and making sure everything was happening orderly and making sure that people that left had the confidence that their products, their personal belongings were being kept safe by police officers. To Minister Todd Lowe and his team has done an outstanding job. I need to be clear on that. They've done a great job when fires flare up. They are usually there when they can get access immediately and put them out. We had one north of Fort McMurray for, I think, less than 24 hours, and they put it out. It was out of control for a little while and scaring some people, and they went in and saturated it and then had a crew on the ground there and took care of it. And I have to compliment those two ministers. They've been doing a great job. And we've been meeting frequently. I think we're meeting the Emergency Management Ministers Committee is meeting probably minimum once a week, every second day when necessary. And the Premier's on that, of course, and we have all the ministers that are talking about what we can do to make things better and how to make people safe and have more confidence. And right now, it's great. I mean, Bruce, if I can just tell you this, there's only 4 areas that have actually been evacuated. The rest of Fort McMurray, it's business as usual. If you're downtown, if you're in Thickwood or Timberley or Parsons Creek, most of the population was not evacuated, so it's business as usual. And these areas are actually a staging area, so it's more of a situation to be ready for being ready, not really a sphere of alarm over a fire.
I should point out, and I know you're well aware of this, of course, we go to air with this program Friday morning, but people may pick it up on Saturday, on Sunday, and so they should be checking in for the latest updates, for the up-to-date updates. That said, what can you tell us about maybe the resources that have been deployed this year and, your government's efforts, those kinds of things?
Well, I'm proud to say, Bruce, and I think you would be too, and most Albertans would be proud to know that we are on the cutting edge of technology here in Alberta. We're one of the most advanced jurisdictions in the world, whether it's night vision or whether it's satellite trajectory or whether it's heavy equipment or, frankly, helicopters equipped with night vision. We have the equipment now that's among the best in the world, and frankly, I'm very excited to see what we're going to do moving forward, and because the rest of the world is being threatened the same way we have been. And we are now, and we need to make sure that we're ready for that. And in Alberta, we are.
Minister, any energy assets at risk in this?
We have one asset that's in the path of the fire, but the truth is the Alberta government, along with the municipality, has been working in partnership along the entire line of this command, and they are working to protect that asset. I've been in contact with Athabasca Oil executive and with some folks on the ground, and I've talked to the first responders as well. and forestry, and they've told me that clearly they've got a fire break there ready for it. But these assets, I was there a couple of weeks ago at this particular asset. You might not know that, but I was there. It's a lot of concrete, a lot of steel. It's not really threatened by fire the way people would think it is. It's a lot of gravel. It's a gravel pad. So there's not a lot of way for a fire, especially a low burning fire like this one, to threaten it.
Okay, listen, we're going to provide a lot more details on this when we let you go in terms of where you can get information, some information from Minister Lowen, et cetera. But I want to ask you one question before I let you go. On another subject, the completion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline obviously was recently announced. Can you put that into perspective, what that means for the province and the people of Fort McMurray?
Well, I think it's great for the people of Fort McMurray, people of Alberta, people of Canada. We're now selling our oil to places like Korea and India and China. These are places that really we couldn't sell oil to before. We're going to have more customers, more opportunities, more capacity, and frankly, the best, most ethical oil in the world, reaching areas that can be a true example of the rest of the world of what ethical oil can do. And Bruce, we have a moral obligation to solve the issue of energy security around the world. And in Alberta, we can provide a big part of that energy security mix that helps the world, takes 9 people out of energy poverty, makes the world a much better place.
Yeah, it sure does. Listen, I know you'll have a busy weekend. You'll be as plugged in as anybody to what's going on there in Fort Mac. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
All right, Minister of Energy and Minerals, Brian Jean, joining us. And more to talk about on the fire front. Minister for Forestry and Parks, that is Todd Lowen, who Minister Jean referred to, provided an update this week on recruitment efforts for firefighters this season.
Retention and our recruitment has been going very well this year. And of course, because of that, I think we can safely assume that because people do want to take on that job and fight fires and help Albertans keep their communities safe, that and we do have a great team. And I think it's proven by the fires that we've put out already this year. We have well over 300 fires that our teams have extinguished this year. And I think we're in a really good position as far as moving into the season. Being prepared and having the crews doesn't mean we're not going to have wildfires. It doesn't mean we're not going to have evacuations. It doesn't mean we're not going to have some of those natural things that happen every year, anyways. But we're in a better position than we were last year. We hired additional staff and additional firefighters on the ground. And those people are doing the job that Albertans expect.
Minister Lowen adds that Alberta now has the ability to fight fires at night with the assistance of night vision technology, which is expected to make a big impact when it comes to fighting wildfires. And again, Minister Jean discussed that as well. Well, the evacuation this week is expected to be particularly tough for those suffering with mental health issues, those who experienced the fires in 2016, and many of the businesses, obviously, that were impacted then. Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services, that is Mike Ellis, wants people to know that there are mental health supports available for those that need them.
Last year, obviously, mental health concerns for last year's fire season was also top of mind for Albertans, and so we made sure we had the necessary supports, and we'll be doing the same thing this year. Always as a default, let's never forget that we always have 211 available as a default.
The regional municipality of Wood Buffalo will continue to post updates, the latest information on the evacuation orders, the alerts and resources on their website. We'll put it on the screen for you, but it is rmwb.ca/alerts. And make sure also to follow Alberta Emergency Alerts, and you can also visit alberta.ca/emergency for more information. A couple of developments this week that will be top of mind to Environment and Protected Areas Minister Rebecca Schulzs. One concerns the federal government, surprise, surprise, and the other one has to do with protecting Alberta's waterways. With that, we welcome the minister in for the discussion. Minister, thank you. Good to see you.
Great to see you too.
Hey, this week you launched a new task force to deal with zebra mussels. I think by now most people are aware of zebra mussels, but we're going to talk more about it. An invasive aquatic species that we do not want in Alberta. So what do we need to know about it, and how concerned? You're obviously concerned if you've launched this task force.
Yeah, right now, Alberta is 100% free of zebra and quagga mussels, but this is a huge risk for us. So, there has just been a recent outbreak of these invasive species in Idaho. They are present in some of the lakes out east in Manitoba and Ontario. And so, why we don't want those in Alberta? I mean, obviously, we want to keep our waterways free of invasive species, but they also have significant risks for our irrigation infrastructure, especially. So we are stepping up our province's response. We're increasing the number of inspection stations that we have across our province to 7, and we're adding a roving inspection station. We also have canine inspection dogs that also do a great job of, especially when it comes to bed and shore and identifying invasive species. But now we really thought we needed this task force to help us guide further policies as we move through the summer and get into boating season. So we've already seen 2 different boats essentially being found to have these invasive species. And so, I mean, that's a good thing. That's exactly what these inspections are supposed to do is stop these species from entering our waterways. We're also looking at, we have reached out and called on the federal government to increase their inspection at the borders, of course. As we don't have control over that southern border, but of course, for watercraft coming in, especially from Montana, that's a risk. And so we're calling on them, as are other provinces, to step up and support these efforts. And then we're also going to look at increasing our fines. So we're working on that right now for those who do not stop at the inspection stations, as this has a very, very significant risk for our waterways.
I guess that's one message we should hit on, Minister. Look, I'm a boater myself, and anybody that's spent any time near a highway in the summertime in Alberta knows that trucks and boats are heading south. They're heading east, west, to all the lakes around this great country, and we have to be diligent to make sure, as you say, that people stop at these inspections and make sure that we're not bringing any of this into our waterway.
Absolutely. And, when you look at that from a potential cost perspective about, just how much water infrastructure we have, especially in southern Alberta, these would come with huge costs, not only to just the quality of our water, but also this infrastructure. So, I'm really grateful for MLA Grant Hunter. He's really passionate about this work. And I think he's really helped us pull together a fantastic task force that will come forward with really great recommendations about what we need to do next. And, this is something we take seriously. It's very timely as the weather warms up and people are starting to take their boats out. And, last year we took a look. The vast majority of boats that were found to have these zebra or quagga mussels were coming from Eastern Canada. So from Ontario, coming through Manitoba and Saskatchewan. And so we just have to be mindful that people are stopping, having their boats inspected, draining their watercraft, and more to come as the task force does their work.
Well, Minister, it wouldn't be a complete interview with you if I didn't talk about Ottawa. Do you mind if I venture into that subject for a quick minute?
Absolutely.
I knew you wouldn't mind. Hey, listen, the federal government dropped a massive budget omnibus bill this week. That included amendments to Stephen Guilbeault's Impact Assessment Act. He and the federal government claiming they fixed the legislation. They've made some amendments and it's good going forward. You have said, wait a second, not so fast. What do Albertans need to know about that?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not going to surprise you, Bruce, that we strongly disagree with the federal government on this. They have not fixed this legislation, and that's because they actually didn't bother to consult or talk to the province about what they were really doing. And I think if we just go back to last year where we saw the Supreme Court rejected the Impact Assessment Act and really just clearly said, this is unconstitutional. And the federal government thinking that they can just make a couple of tweaks to bring this in line with the Constitution is just not possible, given that the entirety of this act really goes against the Constitution. So that was a major victory for Alberta. It was one of the biggest rejections we've seen of the highest court in our country, really identifying, and what we've been saying all along really is that this is gross federal overreach. And, then we heard the federal government say, we're going to consult, we're going to tweak this legislation, we're going to address the constitutionality pieces. But again, they didn't consult. We asked for details. Of course, as is often the case when we're having these discussions with the federal government, they are purposefully vague. They did not inform us that they were bringing these changes forward. And so the result really is that this legislation will still allow the federal government to interfere with areas of provincial jurisdiction, violate the Constitution. And this has impacts on everything from our in situ oil sands operations to highways that are fully within the borders of our province. So, we've said, the Premier has been very clear, as I'm sure she's probably said it on this show as well. We will see them back in court. And as we did before, we fully expect to win that case.
Well, we are lucky to have both the Premier and you with eyes on this file and eyes on Ottawa for that matter. Minister, thank you. Always good to talk to you.
You as well.
All right, there's the Minister of Environment and Protected Areas, Rebecca Schulzs. Well, in partnership with CASA Mental Health, Alberta's government is investing $148 million to support a record-breaking expansion of child and youth mental health services. This will triple the number of mental health classrooms across the province. These specialized classrooms are equipped with a teacher mental health therapist and other professionals to help students pursue a path of recovery while continuing their education.
We want to ensure that every child and youth has the mental health supports that they need to get through high school and through all the societal pressures, and emerges confident and well-adjusted young adults. And to do that, we're increasing access to mental health services for children and youth.
Thanks to the additional funding by the Premier and this government, 60 mental health classrooms will be operational by September 2026, supporting more than 140 communities across the province. And all told, this $148 million, the doubling of support, is going to support over 2,000 students per year when it comes to severe and intense mental health supports in our schools and in our communities.
New funding for student spaces in 2 post-secondary education programs will help recruit and train rural, remote, and Indigenous teachers across Alberta. As the province continues to grow, so does the need for more teachers. This new $1.7 million investment at the University of Calgary and University of Alberta will support nearly 60 new students in pursuing their teaching careers within rural, remote, or First Nations communities. Alberta's government is expanding the Centre for Innovation, Manufacturing and Technology at Red Deer Polytechnic. This will provide hands-on learning opportunities for 450 post-secondary students every year and training through workshops and events to an additional 2,000 students annually by 2030.
We, along with our incredible post-secondary institutions, are helping to train Albertans to build a more sustainable, innovative future. We want to make sure Albertans have the skills and competencies and hands-on experience to make the most of those opportunities and to enjoy rewarding careers. Red Deer Polytechnic is playing a critical role in supporting technological innovation while creating opportunities for students. We want to keep this incredible momentum going and create even more opportunity for students, Alberta businesses, and of course, RDP. And so today, I have the honor to officially announce that Budget 2024 will invest $12.9 million over the next 3 years to expand SimTech here at Red Deer Polytechnic. It's clear that Albertans will have access to many amazing opportunities now and even more in the years ahead.
A lot of work going on in the post-secondary file in this province, and here to talk to us about it all is the Advanced Education Minister, Rajan Sawhney, who's taken a moment to pop by. Minister, great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Always great to see you, Bruce. I'm delighted to be here.
Minister, let's start with this. Every economic indicator tells us Alberta, like all provinces, and we've talked about this before, needs more skilled trades workers. Canadians are moving here. You know this in record numbers. If we are going to build housing and expand the infrastructure that we need, we're going to need more skilled trades to do this. How is your government addressing this?
Well, you're right. We are going to need more skilled trades. And in fact, we've had a labor shortage for a number of years in the skilled trades. And the numbers bear that out. Actually, we've seen an increase in the number of apprentices that are registered, and almost a 28% increase from last year. So we took this very seriously. I know the Premier is a big champion of the trades and apprenticeships, and that's why we have invested $24 million in addition to what we are already investing every year for the next 3 years. So we've put some money into the game. We have reached out to the post-secondary institutions that have funded basically more than 3,000 additional seats in the trades to make sure that we meet this labor market demand. And there's also a whole bunch of work being done to promote the trades as well. And I'll definitely get into that in more detail here shortly. But I think when you're making this kind of investment into programming, into the curriculum, and into capital investments, I think it really speaks to the government's commitment on tackling this labor shortage issue and also talking about the wonderful opportunities that are available in the trades.
It's great news for students, job creators, the economy, no question about that. On the other hand, Minister, it'll create some challenges providing support to post-secondary institutions. So how are you managing that and trying to create more spaces where they're needed?
Well, we've made some significant capital investment. The Advanced Skills Center here, well, it's going to be built at NAIT. That is a project that we announced funding for in budget 2024. We also announced some capital maintenance and capital projects for Olds College as well. And there are a number of other institutions across the province that we're investing in, including the University of Calgary. So again, when we are talking about putting money into the system in terms of building facilities, upgrading facilities, and just contributing to the programs, it really does speak to our commitment.
How does industry play a role in this, Minister? I gather they're they're a teammate of yours here.
They absolutely are. Look, we can't, go forward in terms of deciding where we want to put this funding unless we engage with industry. In fact, industry is the one stakeholder that's come to the table many times and said, look, we need more welders, we need more electricians, we need more plumbers. And we were talking about building houses and we were talking about the construction industry. So a number of our stakeholders have actually come to us in multiple different ways and have actually advocated for more investment in the trades. But what I also tell industry, our industry partners, is how are you going to contribute to this whole effort? Because government clearly has a role to play, but do you have facilities? Do you have programs? Are you willing to be the sponsors in some of these apprenticeship programs that we have? Because again, when you have people who are in the trades taking these programs, they need to find a place to work to actually develop their skills.
All right, you mentioned apprenticeship programs. Let's follow up on that. For students, finding information on these programs can be a bit daunting. How do you go about tackling that to make sure that these individuals are getting the information they need?
We do have a website. It's called Trade Secrets. We have a lot of information on that website. We have information about the different programs that are available, about the job prospects, about salaries, what they could possibly earn, and what future steps are for them to continue on in their journey to become a journey person. So the government of Alberta actually has a number of resources that are available to anybody who might be wanting to find more information. In addition to that, we have a number of stakeholders and community partners that we provide funding to. People like Women Building Futures and Careers, and their job actually is to promote the trades and to create more opportunities. So I would encourage anybody who wants to learn more about the trades to check out our website.
Listen, we're a bit tight for time, but I want to ask you one more and maybe a two-part question. How are you working with some of the other business organizations around the province who have identified these challenges to solve them, frankly? And any more on the agenda for you and the ministry as you move forward?
Well, we have a lot of work to do. So in terms of engaging with business partners, I'm going to be doing a province-wide tour, actually, to reach the Alberta Chambers of Commerce, to talk about, all the opportunities in the trades and to really talk about that parity of esteem issue. You and I have spoken about this before, Bruce. Like, a lot of people still think of the trades as lesser than a university degree. And we are finding that message really has an impact on young people and communities. So I'll be out talking about all of the opportunities in the trades. My business partners will be right there helping me along the way. And an additional initiative that we actually just put together recently with trade unions. We actually funded the operating engineers with a pilot project for their crane and hoisting program. And that kind of initiative is something that we're going to be looking at further in the future. So lots of work on the horizon, lots of different community partners that we have to work with, and it's pretty exciting times.
Minister, I always appreciate you sharing the news with us. I know you've got a lot on the go. Thanks for popping by.
Thank you, Bruce.
Minister of Advanced Education, Rajan Sawhney, joining us. Alberta's government is setting a pace for a rapid construction on rental housing. In the last 3 years, Alberta's new construction began on over 25,000 rental homes. That is more than were built in the previous 15 years between 2006 and 2020 combined. As Alberta continues to grow, the province is also providing nearly $66 million to support more than 450 new affordable housing projects to support low-income and vulnerable Albertans. Through the Affordability Housing Partnership Program, housing providers will create more affordable housing, shelters, senior housing, and supportive housing facilities. As we head into the May long weekend, an important reminder to please be safe on the roads. If you are traveling anywhere, of course, if you plan on doing any camping as well, check for active fire bans before you go anywhere, and look at the FireSmart app as well this long weekend. Again, as we touched on at the beginning of the program, as we talked to Brian Jean in Fort McMurray, it's dry in many places across the province, so be careful if you are going out. And that does it for this episode of the Alberta Update. We appreciate you watching. Again, we do this every week when the legislature is sitting and every other week when it is not. Thank you for being with us. Have a great long weekend, and we'll see you again next time.